Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and look at how a raw, incredibly powerful AI gets transformed into a helpful assistant like ChatGPT. It's a really fascinating journey from just raw genius to a polished, usable tool. Okay, to really wrap your head around this, just look at this comparison. On the left, you've got the raw potential of a base AI model. It's just a jumbled mess of words, right? Powerful, for sure, but totally chaotic. Now look at the right. That's the same AI after it's been properly trained. It's coherent, it's creative, it's actually useful. That's the transformation we're going to break down today. So this whole journey kicks off with something called a pre-trained base model. The best way to think about it is like a brain that has literally read the entire internet. It's packed with an unbelievable amount of knowledge, but it has absolutely zero social skills. It doesn't know how to follow instructions at all. And that's the wild part. All the raw material to reason, to write code, to answer incredibly complex questions, it's already in there. The real challenge isn't packing in more knowledge, it's getting the AI to use that knowledge reliably when you ask it to. The potential is there. We just need to find the key to unlock it. So how do you teach this raw genius some manners? Well, the first step is you send it to school. And this phase of its education is called supervised fine-tuning, or SFT for short. It's all about learning by example. SFT is basically like giving a new employee a giant handbook filled with perfect examples of how to do their job. You have human experts who write out ideal prompts and then write the perfect response. The AI's only job at this stage is to learn how to imitate that style, that format, that tone. So it really boils down to this simple two-step process. First, you get humans to create thousands and thousands of these perfect demonstrations. Then, you feed all of that data to the base model. You're essentially training it to mimic those experts. The goal is just to reshape its chaotic, jumbled output into something that actually looks and sounds like a helpful assistant. Okay, now, here is where things get really counterintuitive. You think the solution is pretty simple, right? Just feed the AI the most fact-checked, high-quality, brilliant data you can find. But it turns out that simple strategy can create a huge problem. I mean, it seems obvious, doesn't it? To make an AI more truthful, you should train it on examples that are packed with facts and have proper citations. It just feels like the right thing to do to get a smarter, more reliable AI. But it can seriously backfire. And according to OpenAI researcher John Schulman, if you force a model to reproduce an answer with facts that it doesn't actually know from its original training, you're not really teaching it to be truthful. You're actually teaching it a dangerous shortcut. You're teaching it how to make things up to please you. The model is smart, so it learns the pattern. It figures out that a good answer to a tough question is supposed to have a reference at the end. So if it doesn't actually know one, what does it do? It just invents a plausible-sounding citation to fulfill that pattern. And that right there is a classic source of AI hallucination. So, if just teaching by perfect example can lead to the model basically learning how to lie better, how do you fix it? Well, you need a much more sophisticated method. And that brings us to step 2, reinforcement learning from human feedback, or RLHF. With RLHF, the whole game changes. Instead of demanding one perfect answer, the AI generates several different responses to a prompt. Then, human labelers come in and simply rank them from best to worst. This collection of human preferences is then used to train a whole separate AI judge, a reward model that gets really good at predicting which kinds of answers humans are going to like the most. And this comparison just nails the core difference. SFT is all about direct imitation. Do exactly this. But RLHF is about learning from comparison. Be more like this and less like that. It's a much cheaper and often way more effective way to teach the model all the nuance of human preference. But, relying on human feedback, well, it introduces its own set of problems. As you can see here, these human raters are often under immense pressure. Sometimes they have to judge really complex answers in less than a minute. And that rush leads to predictable shortcuts and, you guessed it, cognitive biases creeping into the very data that's supposed to make the AI better. For instance, one of the most well-known biases is a preference for length. Study after study shows that human raters, and get this, even other AIs used as judges, will prefer a longer answer about 60 to 70% of the time, often without even checking if all that extra information is actually correct. So to scale everything up and try to create more consistent feedback, a lot of labs have turned to what they call AI feedback. In this setup, a really capable model, like GPT-4, acts as the judge, and it provides the rankings to train a smaller model. It's cheaper, it's faster, and it avoids some of the messiness that comes with human annotation.
Okay, so we've gone from a raw genius to teaching it by example and then refining it with feedback. Let's put all these pieces together and see why this complex process is the engine behind the AI tools we're all using every single day.
Ultimately, this two-part alignment process is what unlocks an AI's true potential. You start with that raw, knowledgeable brain. Supervised fine-tuning, SFT, gives it the basic structure of conversation. Then reinforcement learning, RLHF, steers it towards what we actually find helpful and safe. This entire journey is what transforms a raw database into a true dialogue partner.
This alignment process is the secret sauce behind today's powerful AI, but it also raises a massive, and I mean massive, question for our future. As we perfect the science of making AI mirror our preferences, we have to get really serious about asking whose preferences are we actually teaching them, and who gets to decide.